These are sheet metals. The 8th.
September 8th, and a hurricane in Moscow is tearing off roofs these days.
Skyscrapers are flying apart.
And indeed,
It knocks down Muscovites. And Moscow was engulfed by hurricanes and a flood of the ages. And the gusty wind keeps blowing stronger. Moscow's power grid is blown up, roofs are destroyed, Muscovites are screaming. 18,000 Muscovites were left without power. Uprooted trees, fallen cranes, and torn off roofs. A truly powerful hurricane, accompanied by severe hail and extensive flooding, has significantly impacted Moscow and the surrounding Moscow region.
Tatarata. Japanese city pride. This is a total disaster.
A squally hurricane and rain have flooded Moscow. Moscow is getting more and more flooded. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and in the comments let me know where you're watching from, your location. Like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get started. Hurricanes and squally winds are tearing off roofs and flooding skyscrapers. Panic and evacuation have begun in Moscow. Boom. Bada boom.
in fact,
The wind, rain, and hail have damaged hundreds of cars and infrastructure facilities. The disaster has caused a traffic collapse. Buses, trams, and trolley buses have stopped running in Moscow, and a tree has fallen onto the tracks of one of the Moscow metro lines.
A squall with hail and possibly tornadoes has hit Moscow today in the capital of Russia.
The Ministry of Emergency Situations did not warn Muscovites about how dangerous this is. It's possible that Moscow will go underwater. This looks more like a hurricane with tornadoes. Strong winds are tearing down billboards, ripping roofs off Moscow buildings, and toppling trees. Trees have destroyed skyscrapers and cars, and there are casualties from the falling trees. Muscovites are in a panic. The hurricane is destroying things, roofs are smashing windows, and Muscovites are having their tents blown away.
Listen, this is probably the absolute best story I have ever had the pleasure of telling.
And it's wiping Muscovites off the face of the earth. In Moscow, a yellow danger level has been declared, and Muscovites are flooded. They're literally being swept off the face of the earth. The wind and disaster are tearing down tents. Muscovites are screaming. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, write a few words of support for Ukraine in the comments, and also share your thoughts on how Mother Nature is destroying the Russian Federation and its capital. Stay with us, stay on the bright side. The promised tornadoes were recorded near Moscow's Lobnya. Moscow is flooded. A squally wind with rain hit Moscow and the Moscow region. There's a thunderstorm warning there. An orange level of danger has been declared in Moscow. Boom, badam, boom. Keep flooding, clear skies until Moscow sinks forever.
These are indeed copper sheets. Oh. All the icons on there. That's money. That's money.
In some places, hail is being observed.
Friends, squally wind, thunderstorm, hurricane, Muscovites are furious. The wind is tearing roofs off houses. Windows smashed by trees are destroying local cafes and new buildings. What
are you saying about the tornado, Bowboy?
And the glass will then shift.
In Moscow, people are panicking. Their tents are being blown away by wind and rain. They are furious, not understanding why this heavenly punishment has come upon Moscow.
A live report from the scene. Leningradsky Prospect. Tatarata. Japanese policeman. This is a disaster. Here the guys aren't clearing away the deadwood. And now people are being blamed for everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars.
This is a boomerang. This is divine providence, punishment for all the evil that Russia has done to our country, Ukraine. Moscow is being flooded, friends. Write in the comments what you think about this.
Muscovites were warned that a hurricane was coming. No one could believe it. The weather was good, the sun was shining. And then at 3 p.m., a real Armageddon began. Downpour thunderstorm wind speeds reached 17 meters per second. The amount of precipitation that fell in just 1 hour almost exceeded half the monthly norm.
As a result of the passage of the thunderstorm front, power outages are currently being observed in a number of settlements. No reports have been received regarding injuries, damage to buildings and structures, or disruptions to road traffic. These weather conditions are expected to persist across the territory of the Central and Volga federal districts for the next 2 days.
The thunderclap was enormous, explosive. It fell right onto the tree like that. Here's another one. The trees are broken. They fell right onto the children's playground.
And the wrath of God is intensifying in Moscow. Hail started falling. In some districts of Moscow, a downpour began. Residents of the capital also shared videos of the hail. Stones from the sky are destroying Russians. According to the Yandex precipitation map, squally downpours and hurricanes move through the southwest, south of the capital, city center, and northeast. Moscow region sees downpours and hurricanes sweeping through like a wall, particularly in Vidnoye and Korolyov. The Ministry of Emergency Situations has issued a warning about thunderstorms and squally winds in the Moscow region. There is a yellow danger level there.
In the capital city of Moscow,
there is panic, the hurricane of the century in Russia. Wildfires have left thousands of Russians without electricity, heat, or homes.
everything is burning. Everything that can possibly burn is burning. You can't see anything.
This is my entire whole life. I put so very much into this particular place.
Now I have nothing left.
Cars are fleeing because their tires are melting from the fire.
I don't have my passport. We have nothing. She took everything. We only managed to save ourselves.
This is karma in Russia, a state of emergency. More than 150,000 Russians are without power. A large-scale evacuation has begun.
The roads are blocked. Everything is closed. There's no way to get anywhere.
Massive fires and hurricanes.
In our Sorogosha district, the fire is burning right there by the main road.
Dozens of villages are engulfed in flames. The fire has come dangerously close to major cities. The most difficult situation is in Krasnoyarsk Krai and the Republic of Khakassia.
We're running away as the sirens go off because the flames are coming toward us. Oh my God, just like that. There it is, the fire right next to us.
People are being swept away, houses are being destroyed. A hurricane-force wind has hit several regions of Russia at once, and powerful fires are ravaging Siberia.
It's just that my whole life, everything I had was put into this place. Now I have nothing left.
Boom, bada, boom. Burn, burn bright, so nothing is left behind. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gift of the Happy. Leave a few kind words in support of Ukraine, and also share where you're watching from. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started. The disasters are raging all at once in Kuzbass, Khakassia, Altai, and Krasnoyarsk Krai. Fires driven by hurricane-force winds are spreading rapidly and destroying entire villages in Siberia. Hurricane winds and heavy rains have also hit the Kemerovo, Novosibirsk, and Irkutsk regions. According to Russia's Ministry of Emergency Situations, power outages caused by the bad weather have affected more than 150,000 Russians.
The situation remains difficult even though the wind has died down. You can see it's still present. Moreover, according to the forecast for the next 7 days, wind speeds could reach up to 20 meters per second in the steppe areas. That's more than enough. So once again, I want to urge all our residents to be extremely careful with fire.
A hurricane-force wind has hit Siberia, tearing off roofs, snapping power lines, and fueling the rapid spread of wildfires. Dozens of villages are engulfed in flames, and the fire has come dangerously close to major cities. The most difficult situation is in the Krasnoyarsk territory and the Republic of Khakassia. In the Irkutsk region, 17 houses have already been lost and 100,000 people are without power. In the Krasnoyarsk territory, 33,000 are without electricity, and in Khakassia, there are officially 40 injured. Dozens of fires with a fire front stretching nearly 80 kilometers. Near Abakan and Minusinsk, landscape and forest fires are raging, the flames are approaching homes, people are being urgently evacuated, and those who remain are being told to fight the fire with shovels. This is reported by the Telegram channel CHTD. In Krasnoyarsk, the wind tore off roofs, one woman died after falling from a balcony, the airport was damaged, and a wall of fire came right up to the runway. In many regions of Siberia, there are widespread power and water outages.
The raging fire is now just approximately 100 meters away from the residential houses, and the local people are being evacuated.
Everything that's left of their former life. The fire, driven by hurricane-force winds, consumed their home and belongings. Cars, furniture, clothes, now all turned to ash. Everyone in the area tried to put out the fire, but the Malijin family and their 6-year-old daughter lost absolutely everything.
In general, without any documents, I can't even restore my SIM card. Because I don't have a passport, we have nothing left. Everything we had kept us warm, and we only managed to save ourselves.
Only tears remain and thousands of questions. What happens next? The Antokin family lost their home too, on the next street over. Victoria, the mother of 2 underage children, took shelter with relatives in Lobakan during the hurricane. Now there's basically nowhere to return to, just ruins and a few lonely standing stoves.
The roof caught fire, and within 5 minutes everything was burning. The dog caught fire, the shed burned, all the buildings, everything. Nothing was left. Of course, it was terrifying. We managed to leave the house in advance with the kids when the grass first started burning.
The neighboring field was exactly where the wind was blowing from toward the residential houses, and it became a conduit for the fire. Sayan Kazigasheva was among the first to lose her home, a 2-story house, and all her belongings were destroyed by the flames in a matter of minutes. Now, there is only blackened earth all around.
At that end of the street, the fire started and it became frightening. I grabbed my child and took him to the city. When I returned, my house was already in ruins.
In the Sadovo-Cheskoye community alone, 5 houses were completely destroyed, meaning 5 families lost everything at once. 14 plots were damaged to some extent. Valisa Pogov lost 2 houses. Overall, during the storm in the Ust-Abakansky district, 17 private and 6 apartment buildings, 3 kindergartens, 6 community centers, and 2 farms were affected. The authorities have formed a commission to assess the scale of the damage and to compile a list of those who need material assistance.
We are determining the amount of damage, everything that is within our power. If our own financial resources are insufficient, then accordingly we will appeal to the Republic, that's for sure. Right now we are helping people in any way we can. If someone has nowhere to stay during this difficult time and has no relatives, we provide them with social housing.
As for the causes, of course, there are many factors involved. These include hurricane-force winds and also fire prevention measures that the authorities should take in advance, or the neglect of such measures. Abandoned plots overgrown with dry weeds pose a significant danger at such times. However, each of these plots has its own owner.
The strictest measures will be taken. We have already exchanged information with the prosecutor's office of the Abakan district, and we will be preparing documents to carry out municipal land inspections.
Obviously, for many residents of Khakassia, the recent hurricane and fires were a real shock, a terrifying and uncontrollable force of nature that turned life into a living hell. Now a new scourge has appeared, this time with a very human face. At night, people have started noticing looters.
They saw we were looking back at them. Sometimes they'd turn off their headlights but kept driving. Then, as soon as we shone a light on them, they turned around and came right up to our window. We showed them everything, shining lights at them, meaning they're watching there. The houses are for.
One of the main tasks for the authorities right now is to assess the damage and help those affected. Anyone who cares can help. On the screen, you can see the personal number of the head of the Ustabakan district and the Unified Duty Dispatch Service. You can get more details by calling. People with children have been left with virtually nothing, and any help here will not go amiss. Besides, it's easier to get through trouble together than alone. Konstantin Krotov, Karim Tuguchekov, Vesti Kakasia.
Moreover, I've seen it myself. When there's a fire, residents start pulling grass from the fence. Of course, all of this needs to be done in a timely manner. That is, we are all owners of our own land plots, whether they're summer cottages or residential properties, and naturally, to avoid trouble, safety measures around the property need to be taken on time. So I urge residents, first of all, to handle fire carefully, and on the other hand, to do everything possible to help municipalities with landscaping. Even a little help is important.
There can be no peaceful truce or peace agreement, so I really like the President's words when he said not to just pressure, but to finish them off. That's exactly what needs to be done.
A compromise is always possible, for example, cremation or burial.
Well, that is already the significant and tangible result that has been successfully achieved, so what else could possibly be done or considered at this point in time?
With the Nazis?
I also think so. Shoot and hang them. There are no other options.
Maybe with tactical nuclear weapons on the city where the decision-making center was located, like the fascists from Baden once did, so that they would have, just in case, well, how else?
Well, how is that? I would say that tactical nuclear weapons are the last argument of kings.
The very last strategic one.
And it should always be kept ready, and its use.
Strategic, yes, but tactical is normal. A high-altitude detonation, powerful electromagnetic radiation. The radiation itself won't be very high, but it will knock out all the electronics just fine.
Its use, in fact, from the decision to actual deployment is really just a matter of a few minutes. I'm saying this as a specialist, yes, so.
Have you ever been to Beta?
No, I haven't.
Well, you don't need to. What would you even do there after a nuclear attack?
Yes. You don't need to go there. By the way, I completely agree with you. You know that. And yesterday, in your evening show, you touched on this topic, and now you've quite rightly pointed out that, as they say, to take moral responsibility for using nuclear weapons is a sin, but an even greater sin, of course, is to lose a war, and especially to lose your homeland. So the situation is such that, well, this is probably the most correct path in this sense. Because this European fascism needs to be stopped once and for all, uprooted with fire, with ashes, with nuclear means, and so on, because they've just gotten completely out of hand.
But what I'd like to point out in this regard, again, from a general strategic perspective and considering the overall development of the situation and preparations, so to speak, for previous conflicts, is that by and large, the drone strikes on targets and territory within our country are already being carried out across the entire European part, so to speak. And now the Ukrainian armed forces are being equipped with drones that have a flight range of 3,000 kilometers, and that already reaches Novosibirsk. So in this context, it must be said that the very concept of a rear area as such is disappearing. And in general, you could put the problem this way. Well, all right.
So what exactly is the true and ultimate point of all this then?
It means the disappearance of the rear as such, and then the question arises, where do you store reserves of material resources like ammunition, fuel, lubricants? You can't just stash a box under every bush and a canister here and there. You can't scatter them all over the country. The issue is that this is truly a problem among problems right now. We need to look several decades ahead without any exaggeration and maybe even ask ourselves, can we solve this problem with existing technologies? because let's be honest, it's not always possible to resolve it with standard procedures. Again, you can't put an anti-missile shield over every fuel tank after all. In general, this problem needs to be discussed at the broadest levels, both openly and behind closed doors, because, well, the outcome of future conflicts and, frankly, the resilience of the state during armed struggle depend on it. And this is just considering the Ukrainian side for now. I'm not even talking about who might be involved in the next war, how things will unfold, where it will all happen, and in what way. What's important to understand is that, for example, right now strikes are being carried out on fuel and energy infrastructure, and there are quite a lot of such facilities in the country on which the entire functioning and viability of the state depend.
You undress the children and shove the first piece of food into them. Now check yourselves. When you sit down at the table, say, Grandma has cooked borscht, her daughter and her daughter's husband are sitting at the table, and the grandma who cooked the borscht is there too, and the children are sitting at the table. The first bowl is poured. Who does Grandma serve the first bowl to? If it's to the children, then she's a criminal. If it's to her daughter, then she's doubly a criminal. The first piece and the first bowl go to her daughter's husband, the man at the table, the father of her grandchildren, then to her daughter, then to herself, and only then to the children. How do you act? You all shove sweets into your little pups' mouths, who then grow up into dogs and end up biting you, start taking drugs, fornicating, engaging in debauchery, losing their minds, jumping off rooftops.
Why did he act like that? Why did we not come to Ukraine today? Why do we even need it? We lived peacefully and will continue to live peacefully.
We believe that this 30-day truce has already begun, or will additional preparation be required?
We firmly believe that the proposed truce put forth by the esteemed President of the United States of America has already been flagrantly violated by the current Kyiv regime. Consequently, how the American country, with its significant global influence, will continue to effectively deal with this utterly crazed tourist rabble. Please excuse my rather strong language, but that truly remains a very significant and pressing question.
I can welcome such terms.
How they will once again try to corral them, to channel them in any direction, that's a big question. And we understand perfectly well why it's about energy, because everything started with energy back in 2022, when Biden said that Nord Stream 1 and 2 would be destroyed by any means necessary, responding to clarifying questions from an American journalist who was shocked by such a statement from the leader of what they themselves call the democratic world. And 6 months later, it happened. This is about training people with extremist mindsets to focus not even on a red flag, but on a specific piece of meat. They themselves raised this monster, which is now striking directly at energy facilities, you see? So that's the question. How will they deal with, I don't know, the Frankenstein they've created? How will they manage it?
Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, even if you're happy. We work for an audience all over the world so that people know the truth about Russian aggression and Russia's war against Ukraine. That's why every like, every comment, every subscription, do everything you can so that as many people as possible around the world see this video. Stay with us. Be on the bright side, friends. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. We will definitely win. Let's be together.